welcome back our viewer. And if you missed the first session, we are going to discuss as well more important, very important issues on child abuse. So we are going to tackle, right now we are going to talk about the stage, which stage in child development does child abuse occur?
Thank you so much. Viewers, we before we went for break, I just wanted to say where and when does abuse occur. It can be anywhere, especially if it is a bushy place. The child can be alone, and that is when abuse can occur. It can even be at home. Because viewers, in most cases, abuse happens to a child, and the abuser is a known person to the child. That is one aspect which we need to remember so much. There is no stranger who can come and abuse your child. Then we can move now to the stages. There is this developmental stage where the children want to explore more. They have this trust in them that everybody is good, and it is that is when they can just choose to trust anybody when they are talked to. It is between the ages. It can happen to any child, but we want to understand who is a child. A child is any human between 0 and 18. And we've even had people abusing children who are 2 years old, and you wonder why. So that is why I'm saying it is at these developmental stages where the children tend to trust more.
Who can abuse a child? Is it you talked of a close person. Who are these close people?
Yeah, the close people. These people we invite into our home sometimes. Yes. I remember of a case where a friend of mine told me he invited a relative who had come to visit them in town. In the night, he was going round touching the girls in the house, the room of the children, and telling the child, move for me, it is very cold. So we need to be careful where we house these people who come to be with us, because you may not know how safe your child is. So they could be the close relatives, the uncle, the cousin, and other relatives who come to see us.
We have talked of child abuse. We have defined it very well.
Yeah.
And maybe you can tell us about the effects of child abuse. What are the effects?
Yeah. Thank you, Diana. Yeah, the effects are quite large, myriad effects. And they can start from when the person is young until even right now. Some of them fall over to adulthood. And we want to classify these effects as behavioral. Some of the behaviors that we can see from a child, if your child has been abused, you can see they are starting to drop out from school. They are just becoming so clingy for the younger ones. You want to leave for work in the morning and your baby is saying, Mommy, 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 don't leave me. Don't just say this baby is so clingy. Find out how is that person, caregiver, taking care of her in the course of the day. Children even have been abused by their house helps and their caregivers by touching their private parts and even hitting them. And I remember there was one which went viral, and we aren't going talking about that because I think everybody saw it and we were all annoyed. So we need to be more careful. Another behavior also is nightmares. You find a child who has been sleeping so well all of a sudden can start screaming in the night and just running to your room and saying, I'm seeing things. This child, you need to also know. Find out, what are these nightmares? What do you see in your dream? What is it? Sleeping disorders. They may want to sleep with the light on, and they have been sleeping well when you put off the light. So don't look at it and say, these are normal for kids. Not everything, again, is very normal. And there are also issues of mistrust, anger. And as we move on in life, you find there are people who cannot even trust anybody. And you ask yourself, what is happening? It dates back maybe to early times of his life when someone they trusted abused them.
Yes.
Yeah. There is also finally the aggressive behavior. I know I've not done all of them, but aggressive behavior is common with these children who have been abused. Then they may end up becoming abusers themselves. So Diana, let's look at the psychological effects. What are these psychological effects to a person who has been abused? Sometimes they are so suicidal.
Yes.
They have a lot of suicidal tendencies because they look at themselves, they are not worthy, they are dirty, they are just useless.
Even the esteem itself.
Even the esteem itself goes down. So they feel like, what is the point of me living in this world? There is also the depression. Depression can follow. So when you see your child, they have low energy, that teenager, they don't want to move out like before, they are no longer, although with teenage there is also mood swings, but it is good to be close to your child. There is also guilt and shame. In most cases, the children who have been abused will always fault themselves and say, I think I did this, so that is why this happened to me. I think I wasn't obeying uncle so much, that is why this happened. And imagine the uncle is the person they are supposed to trust. So this guilt and shame can follow them through life. If you see someone in this stage, they need to go to professional help so that they can be helped to know when did it start. Otherwise, there are so many. I've just touched a few. Yeah.
Okay, Helen, we see mostly people focus on a girl child. They think that girl child is prone to sexual abuse and other abuses. But now, leaving aside the boy child, what can you say about that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. In reality, for a long time we've concentrated on the girl child. There have been many projects supporting the girl child till we forgot our boy child. So we can say the community has really neglected the boy child. So that even our daughters nowadays don't get the boys ready to marry them. You find in some communities they say, that one who has gone to school, not me. Because the boy himself is not confident enough to trust themselves. So we have neglected the boy child. The fathers have not been there, and the mothers also may see them like they are so strong. They are men.
So how can they be abused?
Yeah, the boy child can be abused because now that self-esteem is not so high. They also tend to trust someone. They can be lured into drugs. They can be lured into even this sponsor program. I don't know, we call it what for the ladies? The older ones, the older mamas, because they don't have that strength to look for money. They just keep them to themselves to be their errand boys. So this one, apart from that, there is also sodomy. They can be sodomized, and mainly even we've had in schools, that is now the abuse of child to child, sodomizing others whose esteem is not so high.
So what are the institutions concerned with the child protection?
Yeah, the institutions which first of all, if we get a child who has been abused, yours is to make sure they reach the hospital before 72 hours are over, so that they can be assisted, be it a boy, be it a girl, and that is where they get the B3 forms, and then they get the medication to prevent diseases like HIV and STIs, and even pregnancy for the girls. And for the boy child, we will look at the infections which can come, because anal sex or sodomy will really tear the boy child and will finish them psychologically.
And maybe also
other institutions also after that we can see is the child department. Right now in Kenya, the child department is very active. There are even call lines where you can call for in case you see a child who is being abused. Yeah, so it is good to have those call lines, of which we will tell you the numbers, so you can find out even from the hospital, so that you can have them in your homes or even in schools wherever there are these children.
Mm-hmm.
You can get help from the child department
Mm-hmm.
on issues of protection.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And also maybe you can talk of other people, maybe like the community, the guardians.
Yeah.
The
Apart
parents.
from the parents, apart from the hospital, the child protection, we are the number one people to protect our children. Yeah. Let's be watchful and see what is happening in our communities. If you see
Yes.
if you see something which is not right, you hear of a child crying every day, try to find out. Don't say it is not my problem. Yeah.
So as we wind up, what can you tell the public about watching out on our children?
Yeah. As the caregiver, as
And
the
even participating.
as the caregiver, as the community, I just want to say let's be on the lookout, because we've had cases, and I know if you keep quiet, this guilt will follow you. Don't keep quiet. And I finally say, if you know of someone who has been abused, let them seek professional help. Yeah, they will be psychologically healed, and they will be able to function well in their places of work, in their marital homes, and status of any nature. So thank you, viewers. I want to imagine that today you will see that counseling will help penetrate a bit those issues you've never felt like sharing with anybody. Because in counseling psychology, we promise you confidentiality of your issues. It is ethically given to you. Yeah.
So thank you, our viewer, for watching the People's Matter show, and thank you for staying tuned to KTS. Our guest today has been Helen Kipkosgei, and I've been your host, Chelangat Diana.